covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Mernier.
And good evening, afternoon, wherever you are, wherever you're from. Welcome on into the latest edition of Inside the Walls podcast, the Turf Talk edition of the show, your Thursday edition, where we talk to players, personnel, and those of the like involved in the National Arena League. Zach Kyleman in here for the hosting duties alongside my good buddy 900 miles away in Jacksonville, Florida, Jim Mernier, who's back from his one episode hiatus. Good to have you back on. And we'll touch on it. We'll get a little more into the weeds with the final walkthrough, of course. But hey, good to have you on because we got a good guest we get to chat with this week. Ironman of the Week, by the way, who's going to be coming on here too. Playing Jack linebacker, playing receiver. He was your Rookie of the Year last year for the Orlando Predators. Now he's with the Carolina Cobras. It's DJ Myers coming in on the show this week. DJ, welcome on to the program, man. Good to have you on. I know when you're coming in here, you're pretty excited to get on this show. I was very taken aback.
I appreciate that. I'm happy to be here, you guys. It's good to be here, and I'm ready to get it. Let's go.
Now let's get into this, man. So look, I just want to get right out of the gates. You know, we kind of talk some Ironman with some people, but for yourself, I mean, now you're Ironman of the Week. You're excelling on both sides of the ball. Last year, you had played arena outside the NAL one prior season 2019, but in the NAL was your first rookie year. You get that nod in a specialty role more before they switched to Ironman. How's that transition to this new era of the game, or at least I guess turning back the clock to the former era been for yourself?
For me, a lot of people made a fuss about it because they're like, oh, we got to go both ways, this, that, whatever was going on. But for me, I've always been a two-way player since high school. I've always been a two-way player. I've always been a defensive player and an offensive player. And so for me, I just saw it as another opportunity just to continue to show my athleticism. And I knew it was going to be a little hectic with the change, just didn't know exactly how the rotations and things like that were going to go. That's the biggest change for me going into it, is how we have to, how we get everybody on the field. But as far as playing both sides of the ball, man, I love it. I embrace it. I want it. I don't shy away from it. And so I really look forward to the challenge every week.
Talking about, I guess, switching in and out, I haven't really asked this much. You got to be obviously a little more attentive now when you're getting a little bit of a breather. You got to, I guess keep an eye, maybe not, I know that the substitution referees are kind of supposed to be that guide, but, you also feel like you, as a player, you got to kind of keep checking yourself too, while also making sure everybody's on the same page, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have coaches designated for that on the sideline that help us check in and out, as well as a big board that has every single possession, up to 8 possessions on it, of who's going to be in the game. Of course, as pros, it's on us as well to check that board and know when we're going in, but the coaches let you know, the day before and going in, hey, this is what it's going to look like. This is how much you're going to play.
Totally understandable. Yeah.
DJ, you made a credible, not an announcement, arrival last year in Jacksonville when you played for the Orlando Predators. You caught your first touchdown literally the same area where I was at. I basically said, you ain't nothing. You go, ha, 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 and you walk by me. I literally said that to you. I just want to say that. You don't remember that, but that was me. Like, you ain't nothing. I think you mossed, I want to say, Veal in that game. So since your arrival in the NAL last year, when some fat guy tried to talk crap to you in Jacksonville, and now you're in Carolina under Coach Rez, how is just playing the two different from Bennett's system last year in Orlando now to a Coach Rez, and especially playing with a quarterback with Jonathan Bain, Malik Henry now? How's that transition with just the competition level from Orlando to currently right now in Carolina?
Sure. So it's two different situations. Have a lot of love for Coach Bennett. We have a really good relationship, and we all know how things kind of transpired in the offseason last year. But last year in Orlando, there's different opportunities to be made, and there is different what's the word I'm looking for? Expectations. And I'm not going to say there's expectations every year, but coming into this Carolina year, I mean, we loaded the barn, man. And I knew there was going to be a lot of talent around me, and I embraced that. Of course, I like to be the guy out there that's scoring 5 touchdowns and, being the superstar. But for me, that's not what it's all about. I want to be more around guys that push me to be better and that are shining themselves. And I'd say that's one of the main differences about coming to Carolina, is just because there's just a little bit more firepower going on here that forces me to be better. And in Orlando last year, my relationship was directly with Coach Bennett, and he gave me that first opportunity to be a starter in the National Arena League and in Arena period. So nothing but respect for Orlando and what's going on down there. I'm a huge fan. All those guys are like brothers to me still to this day. But that was just one of the main differences going over to Carolina in the offseason.
DJ, you kind of deal with this 2 straight years where you've had, at some point during the season, you have a QB go down with injury, or you've had to swap out. Last year's Brian Hicks, Patrick O'Brien steps in. This time now, later in the season, Jonathan Bain goes down with that ankle injury in San Antonio. Malik now steps in. What are you looking to do when a new QB comes in? What's like the first thing you got to get on the same page with someone, at least kind of getting in the flow a week's notice out, so that you guys can perform at the same level, or at least not miss too much of a beat when you're out there?
Well, let me tell you something. In professional football, as professionals, it really is a next man up mentality. And we do not mean that in any type of way maliciously towards us. I mean, I've been hurt. I've missed games. We understand that, but it's about that next man stepping up and realizing that we're pros and still getting the job done. You can't replace a Jonathan Bain. Okay, you can't. I'm not even going to get into this. You can't replace a Jonathan Bain, but what you can do is have Jonathan Bain there to help the likes of somebody like Malik on a short week, and understanding that, hey man, you have the weapons here. Let's play football, play quarterback, high-low reads, take the check downs. We're going to be fine. You have guys that can do stuff in space. So Bain, even though he wasn't suited, still had a huge impact on last game because he helped Malik get ready. And it was quick. And not just Malik, Coach Fuller too. And those are two masterminds in arena football. And that's why they've been together for 6, 7, 8 odd years throughout, So, and that's another reason why I love being here is working with those two guys has elevated my game so much.
Absolutely. Well, you touch on, I think, perfect connection there. I think some people, when Malik was picked up last week, they're going, well, wait a minute, especially Sharks. I think some Sharks fans out there went, well, is this guy going to perform better than he was in Jacksonville? I think something you touched on, though, and Jim, I give credit to this, by the way, too, and I'll bring it for reference here in the IFL, that I'm bringing this for continuity's sake. They played together. They were on the same roster, so they kind of know each other through and through. So in our discussions, I thought it was a great, to see those two, at least they can work off each other. They know what they want. And I guess that helps what you guys need to do as well with that next man up mentality.
Well, yeah. Well, let me say this, just like kind of in the NFL, you might have somebody in one system that doesn't work out, but then they go to another system and they thrive. Okay. Sometimes it is systematic in football, and Malik's a great player. We all know that. And, we could say what we want about his past or whatever, but the kid has a chip on his shoulder, and he came in here and he realized that this was another opportunity, and he saw what was around him, and he embraced that challenge. And I was proud of him. I didn't know him before this, but he came in on 3 days and he shook it up, man. He shook it up, and he proved that he wanted to be here, and it's making a difference with us pushing forward. And a visit to the Shark Tank, I'm sure that chip on his shoulder is gonna be a little bigger this week, so to say.
might just be a tad more, man. Might just be a tad more.
DJ, you mentioned earlier about the players that you play with right now in Carolina. That receiving core of yours is just straight lethal. You got Lance Evans, you got Kendrick Gaines, you got James Summers, and you got yourself. How does you as a player fit in a squad of players like Summers, Ings, and Lance that can literally be superstars on other arena teams, but you all have in the same team that are just gelling? Like right now, like I mentioned to Zach over a couple of this year, like one guy has a day off, the other guy step up. Like you had a day off a couple of weeks ago, Lance blew up. Lance had a day off, Summers blew up. Then you had a day, you blew up when the other guys were having a day off. How does that feel having you had a guy behind you step in and take the throne for that week for the team? Because that receiving core you guys have in Carolina is just straight lethal. Coach Rez put in a great team, especially in the receiving core side of things. No,
absolutely. And understand something, that it started in camp. It came into camp, and you have all this firepower. And when it's firepower against firepower, you don't lay down. It only makes you rise to the occasion. So we all make each other better. And like, as cliche as that sounds, and you hear that all the time from multiple teams, we compete every week. We've been competing since camp. And we just decided as a group early on, hey, there's not going to be any me guys here. We all can get the job done. We've all proved that we can get the job done. So let's just do it together. It might be me one week. It might be Lance or Kendrick the next week. It doesn't matter. It might be us all in one game. But that's the biggest thing about it is that pick your poison. You have to respect it. You have to respect it, because if you want to shut down DJ Myers, you still got to respect Kendrick and Lance and James. If you want to shut down Lance, what are you going to do about DJ? It's not just one threat, and that's the problem. So we all gel. We take pride in it. And that's that. We just push each other all the time. And, it's just a really good group to be a part of. In the NAL, it just makes you feel like you're part of just the highest level of competition. And, all these guys belong on higher levels. Not just speaking for myself, all these guys should be in the USFL, the XFL, if not higher. These guys are ballers, and, I love being here with them, and they definitely push me to be my best. So.
Yeah, well, I think you make a good point. I think this league, and I'm hoping with the sake of Ironman, we talk, I'll even bring in the USFL, for example, if in that conversation with that side of the league, when I've talked about that, they had shortened rosters. They were looking for guys that are more multifaceted players for the practice squad. Ironman, to me, that seems like that lines up with what they were looking for at the time. And I think it still could for other leagues is, if I can fit anywhere, if I can get on a roster spot, if I can get that position and show it off, I'm good. I think that's something with Ironman. I think that, I know some people talk, well, specialty, what if you specialize in this, you can do this. And, that helps your chances with this position. But hey, and to me, what if you do excel? What if you are an Ironman? The Cobras yourselves, you're one Ironman of the week, and you have two others on that roster with Kendrick Ings and Zach Brown this year,
right.
Guys that are showing out in both facets. What if you find that need? And I think that's, something you guys are highlighting.
Right. Exactly. And you make a great point. I'd like to touch on something about that for myself. So Jack linebacker is not like playing defensive back. So when I first came into arena football in 2019, and I went to camp with the Philadelphia Soul, talk about a loaded receiver core. Now, I'm not sure if you guys followed the AFL back in 2019, but my receiver core was Darius Prince, Darius Reynolds, Lonnie Outlaw, Jordan Williams, BJ Bunn, me, and Aaron Washa. Okay, it was ridiculous. In arena football, you only usually carry 4, maybe 5 receivers, especially when you're only going one way. And in Philly, we carried 7 because Coach Dalzell couldn't get rid of us, because we were, he knew what he had. And for me, that was the biggest blessing, because I had 1 catch my rookie year for 6 yards in Albany, and I didn't take a lot of offensive reps. But I was that guy that was like, I will do whatever it takes. I will get on the field. I don't care if I have to play Jack linebacker. And I didn't, I wanted to prove that I'm an athlete, not just a receiver. I'm, and that's what I wanted to prove. So Dalzell, he started pushing me in there on special teams a little bit and threw me out there, Jack, and I started learning a new position and making some plays, not knowing that 2 years from now, what I learned in the AFL 2019 playing Jack was going to serve me. And now I'm excelling at a position that 2 years ago, I was just trying to play that position to get on the field. Yeah. So you never know how it can come back around, but I'd give a lot of credit to that 2019 Philly team for putting me in position for what I did in Orlando last year and what I'm doing right now, because I was with a whole bunch of dogs that pushed me, and it was a great team up there. And the AFL was just a great model.
Yeah, I anytime anyone brings up that 2019 receiving core, and then it's brought up, Albany broadcasts in particular. I mean, Prince, Washa, Hollis, they're all on that same roster. Some people have even started calling them kind of a rebirth Philadelphia Soul in one way or another. Yeah. But I mean, just look at that talent now, how that's spread out. Even BJ Bunn's played in the NAL at one point or another too. And, that's kind of insane. Now you guys get to play both ways and do this a little bit more. It's kind of, like I said, impressive stat to think about if you look back just 3 years ago.
Yeah, and arena football is such a close-knit community, man. You either played with these guys or played against them. So I know guys on every single team in this league, many guys, and on the defensive side and the offensive side of the ball, and we just compete, man. Like I'm not a big rah-rah guy and talk trash or nothing like that. It's because I know all of these guys. These are all my boys, and we're just competing and having a great time and just putting a great product on the field, because we're all just competitive athletes, just competitive by nature, and we want to compete, and we all know each other, and that's what makes it very competitive for ourselves. Like, you think when I go up against Hollis, me and Hollis don't know each other? You think when I go up against people don't know about each other? Like, I know all of these guys, Rodney Hall, Marvin Ross, I know all of these guys, so it brings a different edge to when you go against those guys, because they know me, I know them, and it's like, who's going to have the better day?
Speaking of that Philadelphia team, I asked this to Outlaw a couple weeks ago about his time there off screen, about going one-on-one with former players like yourself in a basketball game, basically. Who do you think out of the team, the receiving core you had in Philly, who wins in a one-on-one basketball, and who do you think is the overall winner of the just receiving core?
I'm
The
gonna
Lonnie Outlaw was talking, by the way. So
I'm gonna have to say that Philly team for sure, man. I mean, we just had a little bit more. We had more size in the paint on that team. Here in Carolina, we got a whole bunch of shifty, fast guys that like they do. So, but I would take the Philly team for sure, man. One of the best teams I've ever been on, and this team is a close first, second, along with that team. So that should say something about what we got going on here in Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no matter what you guys, like I said, like Jim was saying, Coach Rez did, put together what is a very talented roster. I think something that's incredible, and we touched on this with him. I kind of want to, I guess, when you're coming to camp, are you expecting at least one of you guys were going to be the traditional specialist receiver? Was anyone surprised when we had Ziegler lining up and being the specialist at center? Or was everyone thinking like, you know what, that's all good. It's for the team anyway. So, whatever fits the spot and what coach wants, I'm going for. What are your thoughts on it? Because it's a little different system than what most people expect when they do Ironman specialist units and lineups like that.
Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, it's just trusting Rez and Fuller and them to designate those specialists, right? But me coming in, I already knew I wasn't going to be the specialist.
Okay.
I didn't want to be a specialist. I wanted to go both ways. This was my opportunity to showcase more athleticism and have more opportunities out on the field. In free agency, I had some teams talking to me about coming in and only being the OS. But when it came down to it, having an opportunity to join a great friend of mine in Kendrick Ings, and that was before I didn't know James Summers before I came here. I didn't know Lance Evans. I didn't know Adam, but I did know Kendrick. And me and Kendrick go back. And it was a great opportunity for me to join up with him and learn from him. And I already knew he was going to be the OS. Originally he was going to be the OS, but then he came to camp, and he came to camp and was like, "I'll play corner." And he saw me going both ways, and he's like, "I could do it too," kind of thing. So
okay.
I had to change my mind. But in the offseason, it originally was going to be Kendrick and Bain. So it ended up being Ziegler, which is great because he's the best center in the league. And it all works out. But that's kind of what happened in the process coming into it all. I already knew I wasn't going to be a specialist, and I embraced that.
All right. Nice little insight there. Appreciate. Nice to hear that here. I think this is me and Jim. We're going to just go right into this now because we're curious. Look, coming up this week, it's matchup 3 of 4 against Jacksonville. This was on the docket all along. Both these teams, yourself with the Cobras and the Sharks, playing a 14-game schedule, the only two in the league to play all 14 weeks. You guys have split so far. It's a different team that even, the first matchup earlier in the season, you have Malik Henry now on your side of all things too, which I find, again, it's hilarious. Some coincidences that happen in arena. When you look at Jacksonville, I mean, what are some things that stand out to you in terms of, I gotta key in on like points like ABC. What do you see with them that you gotta be ready for in any matchup with them?
Well, you nailed it right there. I feel like every time we play Jacksonville, it's a different Jacksonville team. And that's the only team that I actually feel about that in the league. It's like every time we play Jacksonville, it's like you just don't really know. It's like they have somebody new. You don't know what Coach Burley's doing down there. But I will tell you that I love the Shark Tank. It is my favorite arena in this league. I'm sorry, Greensboro Coliseum. I love Greensboro, but there is nothing like playing in the Shark Tank, man. And Jim knows what I did last time I came to the Shark Tank. And
no, I don't. No.
It's just a different environment, man. And I'm that type of guy. I really enjoy playing on the road because I thrive off a hostile environment. And fires me up. And the Shark Tank is one of my favorite places to play. And I'm going to make sure I bring that energy for my team. So when we're running through that tunnel and we see that sea of red, that we just know it's time, and just because we clinch the playoff does that, we don't take our foot off the gas here. We are full set on, we got to win this thing out. We want to leave no doubt. We want the home field advantage. We want to host that championship game. That is the mindset. Nobody in this organization is like, okay, we clinched, so let's give our guys some rest for the next couple of weeks. No, we want to, we got rivalries, and Jacksonville's a big one. And, we don't want to go down there and put ourselves in an awkward situation, split in one of these next 2 games. For me, it's going to be a little different because I played Jacksonville in the second game of the season, if I'm not mistaken. And then the next time that we played them when Arvell came in, I was out that game. I didn't play that game.
Okay.
This is my first time playing against Arvell since he was the quarterback of the Valor. So I have a lot of respect for Arvell, and I know he's a great game manager. So we're just going to have to get to him, and that's that. So I think that's going to be what it is. And we'll see, Malik's confidence will be there, and we're going to be fired up. I know I will be. I love the Shark Tank. So, Jim, I hope you're there.
If anything,
I'll be there. I'm a season ticket holder. I'm always there.
Right.
Corner of the end zone.
Not this time. I moved up into the beer section. So
he's a little misdirection this time. We can't find him the same place twice.
No, you won't. No. One thing about the 14-week season, Coach Rez made a good comment. He's like, our bye week is the week before the championship game. That mindset is what I like in coaches. Yes, you're going to have ups and downs and ends and flows of a season, but Jacksonville and Carolina 14 straight weeks without a bye week. And when Coach Rez said it on the interview with Bain a couple weeks ago, our bye week is before the championship game, which to the people out there, yes, there's a bye week before the championship game. We get playoffs, bye week, then championship. It's going back to the original format. What has been working with Coach Rez, especially with this new mentality that he's had, but he's also said, just FYI, DJ, we kind of have our own fantasy football team, and it started with the Carolina Cobras last year, and it was because of this podcast. So I think we still have our own fantasy football team.
He wears that like a badge. I'm telling you right now, he wears that like a badge.
But how's it working with Coach Rez and how he's put that team together in Carolina to make this so far incredible run so far this season?
Well, Coach Rez he's resilient, man, and I mean, the guy being a Marine should tell you a lot about how he conducts his football team, and again, not in a malicious way at all. He's so passionate and he pushes us so much. I've developed a great relationship with him this year, and it started in the offseason. Actually started last year when I came here and played them in Carolina and had a breakout game, and Rez pulled me aside then and there and was like, you're a dog, keep going. He's like, I'll be seeing you real soon. First day free agency open, I was the first coach to call me, and he was not playing around. He was not playing around, and he was like, listen, he's like, he was very thorough. This is the plan. This is what we're going to do. I want you to be a big part of it. And, and I trusted him, and he's that kind of guy. And, it's been a great experience with Coach Rez so far for myself. It really has been. I trust him a lot. He's given me every opportunity to thrive in this organization. And he's a man of his word when it comes to me. So I just really appreciate him, and it's been a really good time. And not just Coach Rez. I'm going to throw this in there too, Coach Fuller too. All the coaches on this staff. Oh my, just an amazing coaching staff for an arena football. Arena football usually carries 3 coaches. I mean, we have 6, 7 of them, and they're great. All of them are just awesome guys. Coach Rez has done an amazing job putting this staff together. As the head man, it's the hardest job. A lot of people don't understand what you do behind closed doors, but it's the head coach's job to put assistants in front of us to help lead the way, right? And started right there with Coach Fuller. And, it's pretty much like having 2 head coaches, and it's a great thing. So love this staff, and we're doing a lot of good things here.
DJ, looking forward to seeing you play this week in the Shark Tank. Best of luck with you, and keep on grinding, man. I'm going to go with Coach Rez here, and I think Jim will say the same. You are a dog out there, so keep on keeping at it. Ironman of the week was well deserved for you this week. You've been playing up really well. Before we go here, I want to give you a chance. First, plug yourself. Where can we find you? Second, anything to say to the Snake Pit out there?
Yeah, so you can find me on all social medias at I am Myers Strong. And Snake Pit, how I'm coming. I bring that energy. You guys know I love you, and there's nothing like the Snake Pit. We're going to host this championship in Carolina this year, and it's going to be huge. So let's bring it home.
DJ Myers, receiver and jack linebacker for the Carolina Cobras. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining us. Looking forward to seeing where things go for the Cobras, man. Keep at it.
Zach, Jim, thank you so much. It was a blast.
Hey, no problem. Yep. And thank you, GJ. And thanks for everybody tuning in again. Catch us on our social at InWallsPod. Also be sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel for Inside the Walls. Again, InWallsPod. Click the bell. Builds morale for us, by the way, as well as for others in the NAL community too, including DJ, getting more exposure for the National Arena League because it is a damn good football league. I got to be honest with you. Until next time, for DJ Myers, for my buddy and partner in crime here, Jim Renier, I'm Zach Kyleman, saying so long. Catch you for next week's Turf Talk. Another awesome guest lined up for that one too. And stay tuned for the final walkthrough coming tomorrow. See you later.
Covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Bernier.